This is kind of backfiring. Had a bit of a slow start to the morning, and then was like, well, I'll get the dog to the park, obviously. But stopped and was like, I'm going to read for a bit. I haven't read enough lately. I wanted to read. I read a whole book. It wasn't a good book. It had some wisdom in it. I'll end up talking about it in my book club this week. I definitely took some things from it. It was very badly written, but I still, just because something... Anyways, the point is, it's starting to rain. It's cold. You know what? We're just going to have a cold, rainy day at the park. Still gotta go to the park. I think we're going to have to cancel the whole trip to the park thing. It's really coming down. He's not going to want to run around, which is the whole point. And the second point is to play with other dogs. And probably no one's going to be in the park. So, plan B. You only look lightly miserable right now. Could be worse, right, buddy? Right, buddy? Yeah. In the end, I guess if you take any wisdom from a book, like, you can't say that you wouldn't recommend it. I just wouldn't recommend it necessarily for the elevation of the writing within it, but there are some good snippets that I took out of it. Actually, some lightly motivating ones. The main thing that I took from the book was, nothing in there was new. I think part of the reason that's why I found it annoying was it felt like a bullet-pointed list of like every self-help book you've ever read. But one of the points that I've heard before and I needed to hear today too is like to do the hard things first. Which obviously I didn't do this morning. This morning I took it a little bit slow. I needed to rest, that's fine. But on days when you need to get some work done, and I do need to get some work done this afternoon, to stop, put the fun and the easy stuff aside, like making a video. I love doing this. When I get to the edit, I just flow. It's great. I can always count on that. And instead, take a look at the list of things that you really don't want to do, that you really need to do, and tackle the hardest, most miserable ones first. Get them out of the way, and everything will be easier. Hard decisions make for an easier life. Feels so cliche, but it's exactly what I needed to hear this morning. All right, so fast forward a few hours. And thanks to today's patron producer, Trish T, and all my patrons for sticking with me on those days where I just gotta get some work done. A good coffee with Patron and a lot of that work I was saying I needed to do, like the hardest thing of the day, and then a really good long talk with Jeff, the guy who's doing all the programming on the guide. Referenced him a whole bunch, but business partner on the American side and such a huge support. And I think there are two things to take away from today because honestly, the last week I've just been kind of underwater on stress levels. It's a combination of just coming back from Thailand. Like obviously there's the tiredness, the post-travel letdown, a little bit of stress, a little bit of jet lag, the weather changed, whatever. But I also got hit with like a good dozen things ranging from like it happens all the way up to the like full buried. Not a lot of good news. There was a lot of bad news all at once. When it rains, it pours, as it were. And thankfully, the rain does eventually pass. All these things pass. But what helped today were those two things. One, just having some wonderful people in my life who I can talk to and complain to a little bit and just express how I'm feeling. People that love me and are gonna put up with it or are also gonna help me to see the brighter side of it. I'm just so grateful for close friends, for starters, and also on the business side to have somebody who really believes in me. Like Jeff has invested a lot of his time and energy over the last year into the guide, into putting he's put so much work in, and for him to feel like optimistic and like things are going really well, it's really nice to have an outside perspective like that when things don't really feel like it on the inside. And then taking on that hardest thing, like sitting down and looking at taxes, finances, just some like spreadsheets, legal stuff, accounts, digging into some things that like, I came home to 2 letters from the IRS. Let's just start with that. And just things that are gonna work out. They're gonna be fine. We can handle them. It's all good, but it doesn't get any better by putting it off. You have to get to it right now. And that was definitely the most helpful thing. So I'm feeling much better this evening. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go home and go to bed now. But Cooper needs his needs. It's funny, in French they say ses besoins. You go out to do a dog's needs. He's done his needs. We can go. Now it's time for my needs. Time for bed.
Are your needs met? Are your needs? Are they okay? The ground is wet. I do not like it, he says.